guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. I can't believe another month has passed and I'm doing another monthly bloom update. I feel like I just made one yesterday, but time is just flying this spring. Things are growing really nicely. My cattleyas have a bunch of sheaths, the ones that I got last summer, that is, so I'm really excited about that. I have a couple of new ones in bloom. A lot of the orchids that I got back in the fall and winter are starting to spike and bloom now, and those are first time bloomers for me, so I'm really excited. If you guys remember my Gold Country orchid haul, those are starting to spike, so I'm so excited to see those. And some of my Phalaenopsis orchids that bloomed over the winter, they're still in bloom, so they're going through, they're in bloom for 4 months, which is amazing. Before we jump in, if you like this kind of video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bloom updates, care information, care and culture. If you're new here, I grow my orchids indoors in New York City, and I grow with a variety of different methods, and I show you exactly how I take care of my orchids. So anyhow, let's jump right in and I'll show you the bloom updates for April. So let's start with my Phalaenopsis orchids. So this one has been in bloom for about 3 months. This is my pink no ID phal. The one in the back is my Harlequin Phalaenopsis. I got this for my birthday. We repotted this together around Christmas time and she has a new spike. I ended up cutting off the old spikes just because they weren't really doing anything and I wanted some more space to move her around, but really excited about this spike. Root growth has been tremendous. And then my oldest Phalaenopsis orchid, as you guys know, this one has the cascading flowers. I'm really excited about this one because she has a spike that has been branching. So this started branching about a month ago. It looks like one of them will bloom. So this is really nice. I do think this is a very happy orchid. The first flowers that opened are starting to fade. This has been in bloom 3 months or so, but this is just beautiful. Maybe 3.5. What I'm most excited about is it's giving me a second spike. So I'm so happy, and I think the reason for the spike is that it's getting a ton more light, and just ultimately I think it likes the semi-hydroponic setup. It's getting a lot of nutrients all the time, so I'm really happy with it. Let me show you one more standard phal. So this one is my no ID, actually no, this one is my Stars Fiona. This one has been in bloom since, I believe, Christmas Day, the day after. It's starting to fade, but it's been in bloom for 4 months. So I'm going to cut those spikes off in the next couple of days, just give this a chance to rust. So I really love this one, but it's time for the complex phals, some of them to rust and some of them to rebloom. I completely forgot to show you guys this one last month when it was in bud, and I completely didn't notice when it was in spike, but this is my Miltoniopsis Lila Fearneyhough. This one smells like very intense roses. She is beautiful. She's almost fading actually. Apologies for the light here, but I love this one. She's just absolutely beautiful. She's been in bloom about 3 weeks and she's fading just a tiny bit. Her fragrance is just delicious. In the beginning, it's a little bit overpowering. It smells very strongly like roses. And it's a little too much, but it mellows out. But I'm happy to see this one bloom. This one is a cool grower, and it has struggled for me in the summer. It dropped a lot of leaves, but I'm happy to see that it did well. I'm also really happy to show you my Sharry Baby orchid. So this was my very first Oncidium orchid, and she finally has bloomed for me. It's the first time she bloomed since 2017, so it's been a while, but I'm so happy that I finally have the care right for her. You guys have seen this one before. She's got a bunch of tiny bulbs because I didn't water her very much, but she is back in bloom. She's smelling wonderful. And she's pushing out 3 spikes, 2 of which have fully opened. So she smells delicious, and I'm so happy to have her in my collection. She has been with me for a long time. I think I got her in late 2014 or early 2015. I have it written down somewhere, but this was my very first Oncidium, and I still have her despite really bad treatment. So I got a bunch of mini Phalaenopsis recently. All of them are in bloom. So the light pink one is G House Pink Girl. This other one is a cross between Zuma's Pixie and Phalaenopsis, maybe G House Pink Girl. It is a cross. It was mislabeled. I thought it was another version of G House Pink Girl. We've got a white Phalaenopsis here as well. My mom also gifted me another Sogo Vivian, so this one's really nice. And then we have this beautiful orchid over here, which I really like. This one is very fragrant, actually. It smells very juicy. This one is called Phalaenopsis Chang Gia Lady. So that's right here. I haven't repotted these because they are in spike, obviously. But I will be repotting them very soon once their spikes fade. I may keep them in moss. You guys know I have my other Sogo Vivian, who is also in spike. I have this one in Laka. But I want to be able to display these, and you guys know that my cat is brutal with these, so I'm going to make sure that I put them in moss so I can display them and so that she doesn't knock it down. Moving on to my summer blooming phals. This one's Phalaenopsis LD Bears King. She opened up last month. That bloom is fading a tiny bit. Let me take you a little bit closer. This bloom is fading a bit. You could see it in the corners, but she's got a brand new bloom. Very, very fragrant, a little bit different. It has a little bit of a darker orange on the bottom. But I love this orchid. This one's my favorite summer bloomer at this point because I really enjoy that very fruity fragrance. It smells very citrusy, very sweet, very lovely, and it's just a beautiful flower. Up next, we've got Phalaenopsis Hieroglyphica, which has very long-lasting blooms. About 2 buds have fallen already. This one has been in bloom about 5 weeks now. And she's just got a beautiful cascade of flowers and blooms happening. A lot of them were a little bit crowded because the flower spike was very small. This one is lovely. I just really like the blooms. Unfortunately, not fragrant, but lovely. What update would be complete without Big Mama over here? So this is Monnierara Millennium Magic Witchcraft. I recently updated you. The bulb just keeps getting fatter. The bulb is already larger than last year. Well, it's taller than last year, but it's fattening out and getting larger than before. So it's taller. This one is very, very thirsty. She drinks up all of her water. My only regret with this orchid is I wish I put some packing peanuts at the bottom because the bottom stays a little bit too wet and the top dries out. So I would love to water daily, but make sure that the bottom dries. So there's a couple of roots that don't look that great just because it's not the best drainage, but it's okay. It'll be fine. This orchid is doing well. It has some not pink, it's got some new root tips. And she is healthy. I found a couple of spider mites on her, but I just take care of it right away. It won't be an issue for this orchid. For this growing season, I'm not going to let it happen, but hopefully it'll keep growing. I mean, hopefully not too much, but wow, this is way bigger than last year. So let me show you the rest of my orchids. This is Angrecum Didieri. I got this as a gift from my friend Ray, and I'll link his channel down below so you could check him out. But check this out. So when I got it, it had like a little nubbin, which looked like it was a spike, but it looks like it is a bloom. So I'm so excited for this one. This is my first Angrecum. I wanted to repot it when I received it. However, because I saw this little growth, I wanted to keep it here. I have to water it pretty frequently. Some of these aerial roots have dried off a bit, but there are a lot of roots in here. It's in a mesh pot within another pot with some bark. And the root system actually looks pretty good in here. But I'm really excited to see this. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful flower. And then once it blooms, after it's done, I'm gonna trim these off and then put it in a new setup with some bark, some airy bark. I don't think I'm gonna try semi-hydro with this one yet, since I'm not super familiar with the growth pattern of this orchid, and it's my only one. This one is the Angrecum Didieri. Up next, we have Vaughnera Key Lime Stars. This one looks so beautiful. So this one is a Brassavola nodosa crossed with Epicatlia Lime Sherbet. And I got this one from Hauserman Orchids. It only has 4 different canes, so I was not expecting it to be blooming size. They advertised it as blooming size, and I remember being a little bit disappointed because I didn't expect it to bloom so fast. But here we are. I got this in November for my birthday, and she is open. She's beautiful. I love the lime. It really does look like a key lime pie almost, and the lip is just so beautiful. It's supposed to be slightly fragrant. It's only been open for a day, so I don't know if it will develop a fragrance. It's supposed to be lightly fragrant at night, but I'll report back if I do notice a fragrance. But I am so excited for this one. She's still available at Hauserman Orchids, so for those of you who live in the United States, you can order her. She's $12 on their website, and she is just absolutely beautiful. Moving on to my Neofinetia Falcata. This is the Falcata crossed with Falcata Hisui. This is the 3rd time this blooms for me. So this is the 3rd time in about 7 months since I got it that she's blooming. She came in bloomed for me in February, and here she is again in April. So she's blooming from a new fan. So I'm happy with that, but I'll say that it has a leaf that's a little bit funky looking. So the leaf is growing dry. So I don't know what's up with that, but I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. But you guys know that I really love my Neofinetias. The fragrance is just divine. The flowers are very dainty and very pretty, very understated, but this is one of my favorites. Happy to see her back in bloom. She also loves the semi-hydroponic setup. And just is throwing down roots nicely. Very thirsty, I find, at times, but she is doing really, really well. Now, I hope that leaf that I see is not anything very serious. It's just like the leaf looks like it's died back. It's not a burn. It just looks like dieback somehow, which is not good for a new leaf, but I'll keep an eye on that. Moving on to the orchid that this girl happened to knock down over here. This is the Dick Smith Paradise. Check out her beautiful bloom. And this cat really will not let me live. Let me put her down real quick before she causes any damage. So here she is. She opened up fully yesterday, and then her colors started developing later in the day. So at first she wasn't as bright as she is right now. She's got a very frilly flower. Usually in my experience, I find that frilly flowers don't last as long as the waxy flowers. So I had 2 Cattleyas open last month, the Hinsing Greenworth and the BLC Solar Flare Paradise. Those lasted a month for me. This one, I hope it lasts a longer time. This is a very frilly flower, it's moderately frilly. It's not extremely waxy like the other types. She's fragrant. I'm still trying to figure out what that fragrance really is. I can't put my finger on it. It's like a slightly floral scent. She just opened yesterday. She just started unfurling, and then the colors are fully developed today. So I'm sure that with another day or 2, that fragrance will develop more. But I am so happy that despite having to repot her last Saturday, she's open and her bloom survived the massacre of Zoe over there. Hey! So she is beautiful. I may not be able to display her here because she loves to knock these pebbles down, but I love her. This is a beautiful, beautiful orchid. This is Monnierara Dick Smith Paradise. Beautiful hybrid. This here is Dendrobium Angel Baby Little Darling. So she's prone to some spotting on her leaves, and I don't think it's an issue. These just end up falling off. I have her in a semi-hydroponic setup. I have some pumice in there as well. This orchid is extremely thirsty. If you guys recall, I repotted this and she had like a million keikis. I don't think I recorded the video, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I had like 20 different keikis on this one. So I gave keikis away to 5 different people. And I have one more for my friend Teresa, and I'm going to ship it over to her. So I've been saving it, but I'm so excited. She's in bud. So this is just one cane with 6 different buds on it. So this is exciting. She smells like jasmine, so she's very, very lovely. And then she's got a couple of new growths. I think I did throw a keiki in here as well, and this keiki is getting pretty fat, which is great. But we'll see how it goes. It's just one cane that's in bloom, but I really love this orchid. She's just a beautiful miniature dendrobium. This one I believe has moniliform and Dendrobium nobile in its parentage. And guess what, guys? Many Dendrobium nobile types, they exist. This one's just beautiful. This one over here is my Vanda Greenlight. She has a flower spike. So check her out. I am so looking forward to seeing this. This is an orchid that I got from Gold Country Orchids back in December, right before Christmas. I got this Christmas Eve. She's got a bunch of roots growing. She's adapting to leca really well. And I'm just really careful with my Vandaceous types because not all of them like that always moist system, so I have to constantly monitor, but very excited to see what that looks like. So this is Vanda Greenlight. Another beauty from Gold Country Orchids. This is Dendrobium Enobi Purple. Not splash, just purple. She's got a bunch of different spikes. Let me get the light up a bit. The light was fine here, but then it started raining, so it got a little dark. But she's got multiple spikes. You could see one over here. We've got another one coming in on a new growth right there. This new growth came in after I repotted it. So this one grew in my care. And then some of the old canes have spikes. So as you could see, this one had 2 spikes that it already came with, and then it's growing a spike underneath that. Then we have a couple of others. Some of them are forming new spikes as well. Maybe not this one, but some of them are forming new spikes. As you can see right in there, it's getting another spike. But looks like this one can bloom from the old growths as well as the new growths. And we have a keiki coming in down here, which I'll save for someone. But this is Dendrobium Enobi Purple. You guys remember Dendrobium Buttercup, right? Well, she's been such a pain, very finicky. I almost threw her away because she keeps spotting. Turns out that everybody that I know that owns this orchid has issues with this orchid, but surprise, she's got a flower spike. And it looks like there's another one on the way, so I'm very, very happy for this. This one has taken... This was one of the first orchids I transitioned to semi-hydroponics. The roots transitioned very well. So there's lots of roots going on in there. They grew in very quickly as well. This drinks up its water reservoir, but I've always been concerned about the condition of the leaves. So any new leaves that come in tend to spot. At first I thought it was some sort of fungal issue, but it turns out that it's just, it looks like this orchid just likes being very warm, and maybe I'm not giving it the warmth that it needs. But I'm going to hold on to her a little while longer. I'm happy with her flower spike. All right, jumping into the last 2, this is the Oncidium Sharry Baby Red Fantasy. This is the one who grew a bulb that was triple the size of the last bulb. Happy to report that she has 2 new growths, one here and one in the back, so I'll need to repot this very soon. And she's got a flower spike, much longer than the one that bloomed last time. So I got her as a seedling, but these orchids are extremely vigorous and I'm worried about the repot situation. I'll put a picture up so you guys can see of my Miltonia Kismet Kind Kai. I repotted her last week. She's also in a clay pot, but she kept getting very thirsty, and I was surprised to find a massive root ball. I transitioned her into semi-hydro. You guys will see her soon, but I'm worried that this one will be that same situation, but we'll see. Okay, up last is my Mtssa Darkstar, the Orchid Works. She is in bud again. And then we've got some issues. I already repotted her a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, and she is outgrowing the pot again. So I went up a pot size. I knew I'd have to repot her. I can't keep up with her watering. She's pushing out new bulbs galore. She's already been in spike several times. This is like the 4th spike that I have. Once she starts, she really doesn't stop. That orchid, that leaf was in bad shape when I got it, but it has not spread. But we've got some older leaves that I think are going to start falling off. And with the new growths coming, I think it is time to divide this hybrid. This orchid I find is just the epitome of hybrid vigor. She's just so thirsty. I can't help these wrinkles just because I water every day and it never seems to be enough. And with these growths coming in the way that they are, it just grows so fast. I can't keep up. So I'm going to divide her. I'm going to keep a couple of bulbs and then give some divisions to some friends. I already know a couple of folks that want this one, so I will ship them over to you guys. But this is the epitome of hybrid vigor, but I'm happy with it. I love the blooms. This is a very easy grower. Just have to keep repotting her because she grows like a weed, which is a great high quality problem. So as you can see, there's a lot in bloom for April. I'm really excited about everything that's going to bloom even next month since I have a lot of spikes. In terms of feeding, I'm giving everything about between 200 and 300 parts per million. I'm going to move to the upper end of that. So I'm going to give 300 parts per million. I feed MSU fertilizer, and then I give some kelp. Sometimes I give a little bit of Super Thrive, and occasionally I give a tiny bit of CalMag within that for a little bit more of a supplemental boost. So yeah, now that we're heading into active growth, it's time to amp the feed up. So anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye guys.